Today we'll be patching NX or Simcenter 3D. Before we do that though, we'll take a look at some considerations as to which software installation you should use. Only install Simcenter 3D if you only own part numbers that start with an SC or NXN. If you own anything else, keep it simple and only install NX for everyone, even if some will only be using Simcenter 3D. I have NX installed, however I like to run it in Simcenter 3D mode. And the way you can do that is by going into the Start menu and Siemens NX, and under here you'll see Simcenter 3D. I like to tear it off and add it to my desktop where I can change the name of it and record what particular patch number we're at. So here you can see we're looking at Simcenter 2212 build 8101. Here we can confirm that with help about. We can see 2212 as well as 8101. Now in going to the support center, some things you'll need if you don't already have a user ID is your server ID or sold to, as well as your web key access code. Those will be required for you to create a user ID and password. So next we'll go to the support center. I've included a link in the description below. And if you don't have a user ID, you'll be prompted to create one. And there you will need your web key access code and sold to or server ID. So if you already have a user ID and you've accepted the cookies, you'll be immediately directed to the support center where you can select NX, because I've installed NX, and downloads, and then we can select the version that we want. And the latest one here we can see is build 9120 for NX 2212. Now there's a couple of different files that you'll see in here. One of them is large, over 10 gigabytes, and the other is smaller, less than 5 gigabytes. The one that's smaller is a patch installation. This can be used if you've already installed NX 2212, any other earlier version than 9120. This is a lot smaller to download than the full installation, which is the one that's greater than 10 gigabytes, and you can use that if you don't have 2212 installed. So while we're downloading that patch release, let's go back to Simcenter 3D and take a look at the log file. And here we'll search for Baster. And if you're patching a version that's not the latest version that you have installed, and here I have 2312 installed, so 2212 is an older version, my UGII Baster needs to get reset to 2212. And the way we do that is by going into our environment variables. And if you're not sure how to get there, you can go search for ENV. And then we'll edit the system environment variables. And we'll scroll down to UGII_Baster. And here you can see it's set to the latest release that I've put on, which is 2312. Let's go ahead and reset that to 2212. Now this is only important if you're not patching the latest release that you have installed. Otherwise that Baster will be set to the latest release by default. So now let's go ahead and open up and extract our zip file of the patch that we just downloaded. And here I'll pause the video while it's extracting. And once it's done, it opens up the folder that it extracted it to. And then we'll go ahead and run the setup.exe as an administrator. Now while that's coming up, let's make sure that we've closed NX or Simcenter 3D. And then we'll say yes that we'd like to install the patch. And this can take several minutes. Here I've paused the video while it's installing the patch. And once it's completed, it will let you know. And then we can double check that it has updated the version. So here we'll go ahead and fire up 2312, and I'll go ahead and rename my shortcuts to be the correct patch release now that we've installed. And then we can select Help, About, and see that we have build 9120. Now if we were patching an earlier version and we had reset our environment variable for UGII baster, we'll need to set it back. So let's go ahead and edit our system environment variables. We'll find UGII baster and set it back to our latest version. Most likely that will be the version that we'll be patching in the future. So we'll set it back. And those are the steps to patch NX or Simcenter 3D.